So again, good morning. Is it morning? No, it's afternoon. Sorry, good afternoon. Still morning to me. I was with Amoy installing a floor yesterday, and she needed to get it all done today because she needs to go back to work. And it was the last day off, so I was determined to get it all done and finished in one day. And I think I'm in pretty good shape. But the body will remind you, after getting on the floor and up and down and up and down, up and down, I was feeling pains in places that I forgot belonged to me. So I said, I'm coming home, I'm jumping right in the shower, and I literally sat in the chair and just fell right to sleep. So it's the funny thing is, you become aware of your mortality, and then I start to ask the questions that I like to ask. Okay, so I'm go to the gym and I'm gonna get myself in shape. And let's say I get myself looking like an Adonis from my mouth to God's ears. Hey, Shalomah, right? And then I started to ask the question, and then what, This is that age and time in my life where everything is becoming, and then what? Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? And then what? Not like I'm saying, life sucks. No, it's just like, everybody in this room has a dream and a desire for their life, right? How many of you would agree with me that you feel like there's more you should or would like to accomplish with your life? Right? Okay, so that's just about everybody. Those of you who got it down, I want to talk to you. Help me. Now, I don't have a problem with any of that. The thing just keeps becoming clearer to me every day. And then what? How much do I accomplish and then leave this planet? And what happens to it? And who cares for me at that point? But still, it's the and then what? I get in the best shape, which I want to, and will continue to do. But and then what? God has made some moves for me as a business that'll be proven to be very profitable. And let me just say, not without challenge. See, because everybody said, God, just bless what I got. But this opportunity has been a blessing for us. But it came thwart with challenges. I mean, are you ever been in a situation where you believe you're doing what you need to do, go forward, but it's making you question everything you think you know about what you're doing? Yes? So, it's welcome change, but it's challenge. It's a lot of challenge. And so I begin to ask the question. So I'm going to learn all this stuff, and I'm going to do this and go to this level, and probably now be worth this much money and all these things. And what's the question? And then what? And as I begin to seek the Lord about it, I got a kind of a quick pushback. And what I mean by a pushback is this. You ever try to ask God a question, and you already know what the answer is going to be before you ask the question? So if you could see God, he kind of just gives you that look. Like, really? You really asking me this? And the first thing he said to me was, the scripture came to me was, a good name is to be desired over wealth and riches. And wisdom more profitable than gold and silver. And he began to just make me reflect. It wasn't even a conversation. Like, no, you know the word here. So then what are we doing all of this for? And how many of you would like that answer? Yes. Just a few people? Okay? Well, then you'll see me after church. I'll tell you. The rest of them, I'm not going to. They don't want to know. I ain't going to waste my time. So you'll come see me after church, and I'll tell you what that answer was. So moving on now, I begin to understand this about it. As long as I'm on this planet, I'm going to continue to grow in God. And what's changing in me, are you listening? Is I'm really more concerned about growing in God and less in achievements. Is that clear? To me, I've gauged my walk with God, being good or bad, by success in the things that I was seeking to do. Me, only me? Okay, so I'm coming to the realization, and then we're going to get into the word here. The things, are you listening to me? You're paying attention to what I'm saying here? The things that I do and the things that I succeed in are not the definition of my life. It is to man, but not to God. Those are the let me give it to you like this. How many got kids? All right, so let me give it to you in a way you can relate. Is the toys you buy your kids and the clothes you buy your kids, I'm not talking about the necessary clothes, I'm talking about the brand name stuff that you want to put on your kids to make them look fly. Is that the definition of your relationship with them? Is that the purpose of why you have a child? What is your definition of why you have that child? What's the most important thing to you? Okay, yeah, you're saying to love the child. We got that's a kind of given. Mike, I think you are on the path. He said a legacy. I'm looking for a little more detail. Come on, what's the most important thing to you about your child? They succeed in life, keep going. Okay, they have a relationship with God for those who have God in their life, but for those who don't, this is a question that goes even the heathens. This is a straight up question. What's the goal as a parent? What's the most important thing to you as a parent to provide for your child? He said better life opportunities. Okay, okay. You stop answering because I want answers. I'm not going forward until everybody that's a parent say something. Doggone it. You stop. You already said 5 things. We want nothing else from you. You and Mike are not going to sit here and answer everything. That's it. Shh, no more. You got a better life than you think. Crystal. Say that again. To grow into a purpose. I like that. Aisha. Better future. Kevin, you got a kid, right? Okay. Yeah, you looking at me like, huh? Say what? A good relationship between you and the child. I like that. Browns. Say it again. A blueprint for success. Mrs. Brown. Continuation of family. I like that. Big Ed. Successful, whatever they do. Come on, Smiths. Be successful. Linda. You're going to have to tell me what she said. Did they give it back? Thank you for a real answer. Like, I'm loving on you, doggone it. I want something back. No, but it's true. It's true. You ain't loving your child for them to turn around and hate you. You hug your child and say, I love you. Get off of me. You don't want that. You want, it's a reciprocal relationship there, isn't it? Yes, Daniel's clan. Okay, I like that. Nurture and care for them. Now, all of these are correct answers. I was looking for one that they grow up and make you proud, that they'll be successful and make you proud, that they be a good reflection of what you put into them. Nobody said that. But you know it's true. You want to feel like a success as a parent, that you raised them right. Isn't that like number one priority? You're alluded to with different things, but the key is you want that child to grow up and represent your teaching well. They wind up in the criminal institution, all that, you feel like you failed, right? When they grow up good and they went to college and they did this, you're so proud, just want to talk about, oh my God, acting like you went to school. You didn't do it, they did it. But you want to talk about it like it's you. Am I right? Does that mean something? So for us, come on now, as parents, yeah, we want to love them, we want to feed them, we want to bless them, but we know they're going to grow up and they're going to go out and have their own families one day. You want them to do better than you, yes, but you want to be able to look at your children and say, this is what I did. Yes? So let's think about God for a minute. Because what you just described is, and everything you said is, none of you said, because when I asked you, what's your most important thing to your kids, you know what none of you said? Buying them stuff. You know that nobody said that? You know what I love best about having kids? Buying them stuff. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. You do that because that's a responsibility, one. And two, you do that because it's just a way you could bless them and make them smile, right? But the relationship is not about the stuff you give them. It's about you imparting something into them to make them to grow up to be, as they would say in the media, good contributing members to society. Right? 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 Okay, anybody disagree with me? Okay, then why do we think our relationship with God, in God's mind, is about him buying us stuff and giving us stuff? Why do we conclude that the most important thing on God's mind is what we want and we get? Why do we decide that God's love for us may not be so good if we don't get the stuff that we think we want? Why do we as a church, as a people, judge our relationship with God by the number of things we acquire? This is why I've been asking the question, and then what? So I achieve this. So what? So I make this much money. And then what? Because at the end of the day, I'm coming to the realization that there's a hole in my relationship with God if I'm concluding that the core fact of our relationship is God getting me stuff. Can I keep preaching this or should I move on to something else? So, if Jesus, I want you to pay close attention to what I'm about to say right now. Do I have your ears? Do I have your heart? Are you listening to what I'm saying right now? Most of us, I'm starting with myself then, have had a semi-dysfunctional relationship with God then because we focused it on the gifts so much that the relationship failed to develop the way it could. I have a person, I won't say his name, he had his child taken from him for a while. And when he finally did what he needed to do and get her back, every time he saw her, he was bringing gifts. He was taking her places. Now, this week we're going here. Next week we're going to Disneyland. Next week we're going here. And I stopped him. I said, dude, you need to stop doing this. What you're creating is bad. Because your relationship with her is going to be from this point on, whenever you show up, you're Santa Claus. There's going to be no relationship between the two of you because it's going to get lost in you always providing goodies and services. So the weekend looking forward to being with you is not about being with you, it's what you're bringing. You need to stop. You need to think about this. Next week, don't buy nothing. Just sit home and watch TV together. Cook something together. Play in the yard together. But stop this before it becomes a problem. He later told me it was the best advice I ever gave him out of everything I've ever said to him. Now, I had to stop and reflect back now that I've had a relationship with God in my mind that was contingent on what he showed up with. And as a result, there's been a hole in our relationship. How many will be honest just by listening to me talk saying, yeah, I think I got a little bit of that problem too? See? Where's the goodies? Where's the stuff? You don't put your hand up, but you know you're lying because you know you had to say, yeah, if God is moving and things ain't going your way, so you start to base it on, I'm not saying you don't love God. I'm saying you start to judge how it's going based on stuff working out the way you thought it should. Right? Now, I'm not saying it's evil, sinful, bad, you're an evil person, you're going to hell. Here's what I'm saying. Is he over there sleeping? Okay, because you got your head in the book, and I don't know, you doing a different service? Oh, okay. Be here. Thank you. That's like putting the dark shades on so I don't know you're sleeping. I'm slick, Pastor Slick. I'm from the street. I like that technique, though. That's a good one. I never saw that one. Open the book and just, I like that. That's good. Now watch this. I love you, baby. It's all good. Now watch it. And what I'm saying is important, so stay with me. I'm realizing now that my relationship with God in some degree is one-dimensional. Yes, I pray. Yes, I have prayer time. Yes, I love you, Lord, blah, 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 blah. But the things we spoke about off camera last week when I asked you what you're so different in me, and you all spoke. And by the way, let me just tell you something. Some of the stuff you said shocked me. I wasn't even aware of myself. No, really. Especially what Linda said. I went home and thought about wow, did I have I really changed that much? Okay, I knew there was something, but you guys kind of blew me away because I had to sit back a minute and go, wow, all the glory to you, God, because I didn't even plan that change. That just kind of slipped in the process of seeking you. You got it? That wasn't even on my list. That just worked its way in the process of seeking him. In the process of saying, I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold. In the process of saying, God, whatever it takes for me to be right before you, I'll lose everything to have that relationship. That stuff got in there. So in this process of me seeing this, the questions of what now and what then and what happens after that is coming to me because I'm starting to give value. Are you listening to me? Are you listening to me? Are you listening to me? I'm starting to give value to real life. And I'm starting to realize that real life is not in the stuff that I possess, but in the relationship I have with God. I'm starting to pay attention to that. It's not my achievements. It's not my success. It's the walk with God that's the most important thing. And the toys are God's gifts to you because you're his child. They're things that he just does because he wants to do it. And I'm coming to the realization that we spend so much time wanting stuff that we don't give God the opportunity to just do something as a father. How irritating would it be if every time you saw your child, they wanted stuff and wanted stuff. And you're like, Dad, I can't even just decide to surprise you and just bless you with stuff. You already throwing your list up. I want to buy my child these sneakers. Oh, I don't want those. I want the Jordans that just says, seriously? Walk outside barefooted then. See how you feel. I'm not spending $500 on those sneakers so you can put holes in them. And you assess the value of the gift based on the person you're giving it to and their ability to, one, appreciate, two, respect and understand the value of that gift. But we don't want God to have that decision. We want to tell him what makes us happy and what's best for us. We want to make prayer lists and hold God to these lists. and not say, Daddy, you are smart enough to know what's best for me. And even though I want this, this, and this, and here is my list, you can go against this list as you want to because you do know better than me. You can flip the script if you so desire because you already know where I am spiritually, maturity-wise, and what would best serve what you're doing in my life and trying to raise me to be. Am I talking to you today? We have these monophonic relationships with God. I'm not saying they're evil. I'm not saying God don't like us. But I'm saying it's like us coming to a banquet and just eating breadsticks. You're going to the buffet and all you're getting is water. Merle, stay with me. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that today, I ain't picking on nobody. What's on my spirit, if you're not sensing it, is very strong. There's such a huge dynamic to this walk. And all the goodies are just that. They're goodies. But they're not the definition of our relationship. All the things everybody defined about what's important to you about your children, God feels that way about you. I'm more concerned that you're successful, that you do better, that you have a loving relationship with me, as Linda said, the reciprocal relationship, that you grow up and succeed and do things well, that you mature, yes? That your thinking goes from the childish way it is to a more mature way that I can be proud of and say, my baby's growing up. And then you got Christians that got the same exact mindset that they've had for 20 years, 30, 40 years in the church. And proud of it. I've been walking with Jesus for 50 years. And I ain't going to change now. And God like, I want you to grow up. I want you to mature. So when you stood there and said, you changed like this and you changed like this and this is different about you and that is different about you, and I said to you, this is all to say to you, then anybody can do it. We all can do it then. So we don't get old or get to walking with Jesus for so long that we no longer grow up. But we perfect. We get better. Our wisdom continues to grow. Unless you think you know all there is about God there is to know and you're good. You're got it down. You don't need no more instruction from God. I can write my own Bible now. You understand what I'm saying? We have to stay that child growing. We have to stay that child hungry. Our perspective of what a blessing is has to change from things that make us happy to winding up in the direction that we're called to be in. And then when God blesses me with a trinket, it's just that. A momentary thing that's going to get you excited for a few minutes. You get a new car, new house, yay! And run around and show it to everybody. Now, after you've been there 5, 6 years, just your house. It don't mean you lose respect or appreciation for it, but it's just a house. It's where I live. Because it's just the thing that Daddy provided. It's not the benchmark of the relationship. Can I get off of it now? Go with me. I'm going to start here. I didn't plan to. I'm going to say it. Go with me to Luke 19. We started this early on, and I'm going to go back to and finish it. Luke 19. I'm going to start at 11, and we're going to go from there, okay? Let me know when you're all there in your electronics, on paper, or however you're doing it. When you're there, yell out, I'm there. All right. While they were listening to this, While they were listening to this, he went on to tell them a parable. While they were listening to what? Go back to verse 9. Jesus said to them, Today salvation has come to the house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. So here's a story going on. There's something happening. What is that? Let's go back a little further. Jesus entered into Jericho, starting at verse 1, and was passing through. And a man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short and could not see over the crowd, so he ran ahead and climbed into a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming by the way. And when Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. Now, listen to me. Story time. I love story time. I like a couple of things about Jesus here. One, this guy is short, so he's got a disadvantage that he can't see Jesus through the crowd. So he came up with a concept. I'm going to run ahead of the parade. I'm going to climb up in a tree so when he passes by, I can get a good look on him. Now, are you listening? I know we don't pay this any attention. It's no big deal to us because it's Jesus. But Jesus walks over and looks up at the tree and says, Zacchaeus, come on down here. Tonight I'm staying at your house. First of all, he doesn't know the man. He called him by name. I don't think Zacchaeus is a common name, maybe even back then. So for him to know it, had to be some kind of move. Two, Jesus called the rich dude down and said, I'm staying in your house tonight. He didn't ask him. See, we don't pay attention to stuff like that. Jesus no, I like to stay in a rich house too. Jesus said, no, I don't stay with the poor people. You know what I'm saying? I just hang out in the street. You know what I'm saying? Blessed be the poor. He said that, yet still he went to Zacchaeus' house. Okay, come on, stay with me. Now, I need you to understand something. What was Zacchaeus' occupation? Who did he work for? I want to see how many people know. Who did he work for? Thank you, Merle. Did you understand that? He didn't work for the Jews. He worked for the Romans. He worked for the Romans. And he went to them and he took taxes from them. And whatever he collected above what was required, he got to keep. And as a result, he was rich. It says rich man. Now, I don't know if you're noting something. Do we acknowledge he worked for the Roman, collecting taxes for the Jews, from the Jews, correct? Is Zacchaeus a Roman name? Let's see. And when the people saw this, verse 7, and began to mutter, he has gone to be the guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone out of anything, I will pay back 4 times that amount. Now Jesus says, Salvation has come to this house because this man too is a son of Abraham, for the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Now, so we don't know what race he was, but we know his name is Zacchaeus, and we know that he collects taxes from the Jews, and we know the Jews don't like him, And all of a sudden, Jesus says, I'm going to your house. And the man immediately begins to make his case. Nah, I'm not. Are you paying attention to this? If Jesus showed up in front of you right now, what would you start doing? After you fell out on the floor and probably did the Harlem Shake for real, you would begin to say, Lord, I just want to let you know, I might not be perfect in all my ways, but I'm trying to do this walk, Lord. It can be hard. Come on. I mean, I know some of you here perfect. You ain't got no sin in your life. But those of you who are aware that you got some issues, you're going to immediately start stating your case. Am I correct? Yes? You're going to immediately start saying, Lord, have you come to judges before the time? If so, can you give a brother a few more days? I would like to clean some things up before you take me before the throne because, I try to do good. I try to do good. I try to help people out. I help people, the people upstairs and they got some money. Sometimes I help pay for some groceries and stuff. I try to do the best I can. I just wanted to bring it home, make it real to you. Zacchaeus was aware that now, as rich as he was, there were some things that he needed to make sure he was okay about. He started talking about immediately all the good he did. Notice he didn't point out, but now, Jesus, I do have this problem here. He immediately wanted to put up where he was doing the best he could. Now, people saw it, they began to mutter, so Zacchaeus began to say, hey, I'm not a sinner like they say they are. I try to do good. And Jesus said, today salvation has come to this man's house because he is the son of Abraham, just like you. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Now, story time. Jews did not take kindly to anybody being called son of Abraham but them. So if Jesus is standing there saying to this Zacchaeus, and if anybody can look up and see what his race is, I would love to know. You can do a search and you'll probably find it. But it says it's a Hebrew name. It sounds Hebrew to me. But I want to know what it is. If you find it, fine. Here's my point. I'm under the impression that he's Jewish, working for the Romans. That's the impression I'm under. He is an Israelite. So then if my gut hunch was right, hello? I got your attention? If my gut hunch was right, he's Uncle Tom. From what you're saying, and you're saying he is an Israelite. So he's an Israelite. You found it. So here's Zacchaeus, working for the Romans, taking taxes from them, and they called him a sinner, even though he's one of them. He's a house end. Yes? So they don't like him. Now here's Jesus, Messiah, come along and say, I'm hanging out with you. Now, they didn't have a problem with Zacchaeus. They had a problem with Jesus wanting to go to Zacchaeus' house. He is going to spend the day with a sinner. He's going to spend his time with somebody who is beneath us in our mind, because we have our picture of what the relationship should be. Now let's go back to what Jesus says. Jesus goes on and says, and while they were listening to this, he went on to tell them a parable, because he was near Jerusalem, and the people thought that the kingdom of God was going to appear at once. You're listening now? And he said, a man of noble birth went to a distant country to have himself appointed king, and then to return. So he called to his 10 servants, and he called 10 of his servants and gave to them 10 minas. Talents, it says in the King James. Put this money to work, he said, I will come back. But the subjects hated him and sent a delegate after him to say, "We don't want this man to be our king." He was made king, however, and returned home. Then he sent for the servants to whom he had given the money in order to find out what they had gained with it. The first one came and said, "Sir, your mina has earned 10 more. His response, "Well done, my good servant." His master replied, "Because you have been trustworthy with a very small matter, take charge of 10 cities. The second came and said, "Sir, your mina has earned 5 more. His master said, "You take charge of 5 cities. Another servant came and said, "Sir, here's your mina. I kept it and laid it in a piece of cloth. I was afraid of you because you are a harsh man. You take out where you did not put in, and you reap where you did not sow." His master replied, "You listening? You listening? I will judge you by your own words. I will judge you by your own words." One more time. Come on, will judge you by, finish it. Wow. Wow. So here's what he said. He went out to be anointed king. He called 10 people to him. He gave them a share. He said, "This is a gift, a talent, something I've given to you. While I'm gone, do something with it." I want you to listen to me now. What did he go out to do? He went out in search of kingship. He went out to take over something bigger, so he could come back and appoint what he had to others who were there, who would be stewards or who would not be stewards. Am I losing you now? Are you getting bored now? Because you know it's going somewhere. He left to be established king. And then he was coming back to see who had done something with what he had deposited to everyone equally. And then, even though they didn't know that at the time, assign them or delegate them power based on what they had done. Yes? Some people ran after him and said, "We don't want you to be our king because you're too tough and you hard on us," right? And even the guy who said, "I hid your money because I didn't want to do nothing with it. Here it is because I know you're a hard man." He said, "You will be judged by your own words." Where are we? Where is Pastor possibly going with this? Jesus said, "I'm going to prepare a place for you. I must die." Peter rebuked him, "You shall not die. We living good while you here." He said, "Your ways are not that of God. Get behind me, Satan. You're an offense. For you don't care about the things of God, but you care about the things of men." You know that story, right? What did he say to Peter? You care about the things that appeal to you immediately, your manhood. You're not focused on the things that God is doing. Are you listening? His rebuke to Peter was, he said, "I got to die." Peter said, "Don't you dare." And he said, "Get thee behind me, Satan, you offense," because you don't care about the move of God or the things of God. You're focused on the now. You focus on your immediate peace and comfort. You're focused on the flow of life that you have that you've come to accept as good. I'm going to prepare a kingdom. Didn't he say that? Yes. And when I come back, I will receive you to myself. But then when the Son of Man returns, should he find what? would he even find any faith in the earth? This is that story. He's giving it in a parable. He said, I went, are you listening to me? Are you listening to me? I didn't die so I could give you toys. I went away to get a crown. I went away to get all authority over life and death in the earth. I took keys to death, hell, and the grave. And I went to get my crown. And I'm coming back to find out what you did with this name I left you. Did you hide it? Or did you put it out there and get 10 more back? Because if you did, then I'll give you 10 cities. See, we're praying for the cities, but there's a work order. My God, my God, my God, my God, my God, my God. There's a work order. See, are you hearing me now? We're so caught up in the toys that he said, if he give you 10 cities, you got all the toys. You praying for toys. He's like, I'm trying to put you over kingdoms. I'm trying to say, you got 5, I'm going to give you 5. You're listening to me right now. If you would be faithful with little, I will bless you with much. You're praying for stuff. I'm telling you, I went away to prepare a kingdom, and I came back to find out what you're doing with what I gave you. And you're saying, well, you know, it's rough out here. It's hard, you know. I can't get by because I'm black. And he said, you will be judged by your own words. Well, you know, sickness run in my family, and, you know, he said you will be judged by your own words. I left to prepare something for you, and I left you with my Holy Spirit, and I came back, and this is what you're giving me? You'll be judged by your own words. And you are. It's tough. It's hard. It's rough. I don't know. I don't want this one to lead me. I think, you know, I got feelings too. And he's like, okay, so then you want to lead yourself. Good luck with that. But I went away to prepare a kingdom. Because let me tell you something about noble men, as the Bible refers to them as a noble men. Noble men and noble women are kingdom-minded. Peasants and day workers are focused on stuff, immediate gratification. You're not kingdom-minded. You're paycheck-minded. I ain't getting a lot of love today. It's just like stone cold here. You get ready to stone a brother? Am I saying something wrong up here? So when I'm asking myself, then what? It's because God is pushing me beyond the mind of a day laborer. He said your mind needs to be about kingdom. It needs to be about preparing the thing that I've put you here to prepare for. Prepare ye the way of the Lord. What is that in my life? Why are you giving me businesses? Why are you giving me? And you notice the more I surrender to it, the more doors are opening up for me. And the less I struggle to be successful, the more successful I'm becoming. I'm struggling to be successful in the kingdom now. I'm not struggling to be successful in business. Because he gave me this gift, this minor, this Holy Spirit for something. He gave you it for something. And when he comes back with you to collect, what are you giving him? Oh, Lord, I'm going through this. Times are hard. I just would like to get a raise. I don't think the boss is being fair to me. This apartment. And he said, and so this is what I come back and get? When I gave you the power that I created the world with? See, people ask, you ever have that conversation? Huh? You didn't know that? He filled you with the Holy Spirit, yes? How many of you filled with the Holy Spirit? Okay, did you not see the book of Genesis where it said his spirit brooded over the earth and then he said, light be, and let us make man and all that? That same spirit. The power was spoken by the word. That's why he said, you'll be judged by your own words. Why? Because I filled you with my spirit, and the stuff you speak out of your mouth is filled with that same spirit, and he ain't saying, I'm going to judge you by your words. He said, you're going to be judged by your word. He didn't say, I'm going to convict you because of what you said. He said, you're going to be. Because that power in that word is going to do what you spoke it out to do. It's going to do it. It's designed to do it. It's created to do it. Say this with me. Say, I have the very gift of God living in me. Lord, show me how to use this thing. That's why when you can sit there and I didn't solicit you to tell me all those beautiful things you said, but I just asked you, have I changed? Have you seen it different? And you spoke those things. Did you mean what you said? Okay, I'm telling you how I'm getting there. I just want to scream. I've decided that nothing else is important. And when that stuff because it tries to get you back, it says, yes, I am important. You sure you don't want me? And I have to say, hey, get off of me. Because you try to come back. But I've decided that for this short period of time that I'm going to be here on this planet, when I get before the Lord, he said, what did you do with what I gave you? I want to be able to say everything. Everything. When I come before him, I want him to say, I want to give you 50 cities. Whatever talents he gave me, I don't know what they are. I don't know what they are. I don't know if it's 10, I don't know if it's 5, I don't know if it's 1. I just know he gave them to us all. You notice that? He gave it to everyone equally. You notice that everybody's dispersion was the same. You notice that? Well, Pastor, though, but you smarter in those kind of things, and you've been educated in that, and okay, and you will be judged by the words of your own mouth. You called me smarter than you. And to that I say amen. You know what I'm saying? You said it. Well, that's easier for you because you skilled that way. You said it. I came in the world knowing as little as you knew. And every skill set I have and everything I've learned to do, I've learned to do. Are you listening to me? I learned. How many of you have had business conversations with me? Do you think I know a little something? What Ivy League school do you think I went to get that? Yet I've supported myself for 20 years on what I know. Where did I go get that? From the mind he gave me. He gave me that spirit. He filled me, endowed me with it, and said, speak life. Speak life. Sometimes you have to keep speaking it to your heart and your mouth agree with it, but you have to still speak it. Amen. And you have to pursue it. Are you listening to me? Yes. And you have to pursue it as if you're on the way to it. Yes. And we can't get so caught up on the little things on the journey that we forget the purpose of the journey. This noble man, Jesus, went to prepare a city to receive his kingship, his crown, and to come back, not to rule, as some of them thought, but what did he do when he came back? Don't mumble, speak it out. He shared. What else did he do? He didn't just share, he shared. But specifically, what did he do? Speak up, Jackie. Thank you. He gave them power to rule. He came back. Are you catching this? He wasn't trying to be the big boss and have a bunch of little minions under him. He came back and based on what you did, gave you more power to rule. He gave you the power to transact, and then based on what you did with that power, he gave you the power to rule. Am I losing anybody? Is it speaking to your spirit? Because you're so quiet right now. How many saying, yes, I'm being blessed or something, I'm learning something? Okay, so he gave me the power to rule after I did something with the transaction, the first transaction. Every person in this room is filled with the Holy Ghost. We got caught up in stuff. We got caught up in things and what the world calls success. It's all over the screen. It's all over everywhere you look. There's a picture of what the world has called success. And we are fighting with all our might to obtain that, which the world calls success. In all respect, have the highest honor and respect for Steve Jobs, but all of that, and that man died young. And he died over time, too. He was sick and dying for years. Are you listening to me? So then what was it all worth? Because we know when he died, but we don't know how long he was living with this thing and fighting and doing everything he can to try to stay alive. So how much enjoyment was there to all of this great success if something is inside your body killing you slowly? You don't think about that, do you? You just think that he just woke up one day and he was dead. How many treatments, how many things, what was he doing with all of that wealth to try to find a cure for his situation that he could not find? So it's not the stuff. It's not the things. I'm sure to him the things that he owned and possessed wasn't a big deal. I saw a picture of his house. It was a very average house. Maybe he had more than that, but the one they showed that he lived in was very, very comfortable. It wasn't a big house at all. Because somebody in that situation, I'm sure he ain't talking about, yeah, I want my bling bling and I want my, this and Bugattis and that. I don't think that at that point of a person's life, if somebody's in that situation, I don't think that becomes an issue. I think there are things that become more important to you if you're in a situation like that than how much stuff you amass. Yes? We've been given a gift. Wrap it up. We've been given a gift. We've been given a talent. We've been given the Holy Spirit. He went and he got his crown. He came back. What did he find us doing? What does he find you doing? If the Lord came to you today to take account of what you did with that gift he gave you, what would you say? You gave me this one, I got 10 more? Or will you say, well, it was hard and I tried, but it's rough out here and ain't nobody trying to hear me, and he have to say to you, and you'll be judged by the words of your mouth. People, we are so much more powerful than we realize. Are you listening to me? We've been given so much more, and we've allowed this world to relegate us to just basically still ripping and running to the dollar, trying to get stuff so we can feel important. Now, I'm not against you having stuff, but what I'm learning is the stuff I'm seeking is spiritual stuff. And then whatever physical stuff shows as a result of that, so be it, amen. But I don't want to be that person in deep pursuit of a bunch of stuff. In the minute I have left, I'll say this about myself. You all know about my action figure collection, most of y'all. I filled up a room, had to go into another room. I have no space in that room. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the new ones that I'm still collecting. something I love to do. And I'm saying to myself, dude, if you collect it like you want to, you'd have to have a house just for your toys. And then you're going to die. And Mocha's already claimed them. You know, he already knows, and I already let him know, and it's already known. I died, the toys go to Mocha. And Mocha said the other day, Grandpa said when he died, I can have his stuff. The boy's already plotting my death. I'm not saying he wants me to die, but he's looking at that stuff. He's already, yeah, but I ain't saying I want him to die, but this is a benefit of him dying. And I thought about it when he said it, and he said it so innocently, and I said, and at the end of the day, if that's all I leave, that's my legacy. Not cool. Not cool. That the only memory that he has is a bunch of toys. And maybe some money that they'll run through before they're, 20 years old. I'm here for something. You're here for something. How great that is or is not, are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening? How great that is or is not is up to you. Are you listening? Yeah. Are you listening? Yes. No, don't send them upstairs. Let them go right. Don't send people upstairs. That rule has been changed. That's up to you. You getting it? Yes. That's up to you. I keep saying it. It's up to you. It wasn't up to the king. He left it with them and walked away. Came back and said, tell me what you did. So who was responsible for the outcome? Whose responsibility is it? Whose responsibility is it? It's ours. This ain't to put you down. Nobody's taking it like that, right? It's to motivate you. You have so much power. Go do something with it. Stop chasing stuff. I promise you, you get in the right line with this stuff will chase you. And you won't even have an interest in it. You'll be like, whatever. Could I get a new car? Yeah. Am I going to? No. Me and my little brother saying, we'll ride a car till the wheels fall off and you can see the air through the tires. And listen, we'll ride it till the car falls over and gives up the ghost. Need to upgrade. I don't need to do that crap. But I do want to upgrade in the spirit. That's what I want to say. I hope that was a blessing to you. We are so powerful. We are just making ourselves so small. Say the power is already in me. Scripture says, He's given me all things that pertain to life and godliness. When the Lord comes to give account, I'm going to be worthy of many cities. Amen.